Peaches, welcome to today's video. So today we are going to do our first episode of From Scratch. So as you guys may have noticed, we are doing another series on this channel where we're cooking a lot of things that you may find at the restaurant at home. Well, I've noticed over the course of my cooking journey, there's a lot of things that go into these recipes that you're still buying. You're buying all of these ingredients. My goal at the grocery store is to get as close to buying one ingredient things as possible. Some examples of what I mean by that are fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, anything where the ingredients is just what it is. For example, cashews, the ingredients will say cashews. Now, things like pasta sauces and milks and pestos and dips and hummuses, all of these things we can realistically make at home. My goal is to be able to go to the store and just get these simple one ingredients for my recipes. That way I know exactly what's going into my food and I can be very aware and in control of what I'm consuming. So that being said, our goal for this new series From Scratch is to make the ingredients that you would buy for your recipe. So things like milk and sauces and spreads and dips and bread and all of those things that you may need that's usually pre-made at the store. We're gonna make that here on this channel. And the best part is usually these things that seem so complicated and so foreign to us really are pretty simple. I'm gonna show you that today. To kick off the series, the first thing that we're gonna make today is milk. Now, not cow's milk, I don't have a cow, but especially in this day and age where a lot of things are going towards plant-based options, today I'm gonna show you two different variations. This is gonna be really simple. You don't need a lot of ingredients, you don't need a lot of materials at all, and I'm really stoked to show this to you because me personally, I used to think like milk, there's no way I can make milk, like I need all of this special equipment. It just seemed so hard and so out of reach. And in my household, we use a lot of milk, and so I was just spending a lot of money on almond milk, oat milk. Oat milk's like $5 a carton, and it tastes delicious, but also all of these milks have like added sugars and sweeteners and random ingredients, and I wanted the purest form. I don't want to have to spend money. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make cashew milk and oat milk from scratch. Both are going to take you less than 5 minutes. And you can make it in bulk so you can have as much as you want, and you can customize it to make it as sweet or any flavoring that you want. So I'm very excited. It's gonna save you so much money, and I'm gonna share all of the hacks and the tips with you guys. These are the supplies you need. We need a blender. A food processor would probably work as two, but most people have a blender in their house. Bowls, I like to use nice big ones because I like to make a lot at once. A measuring cup and a glass jar. Now these are so pretty. I love the cork top. They're glass from IKEA. I can link them down below for you guys, and they hold a good amount of milk. I have one for my cashew, one for my oat, and they're very inexpensive, but you can use any glass jar. Another alternative, if you don't want to buy anything and you don't care about the aesthetic, is just like empty glass jars from your pasta sauce. I just remove the label and it's good as new. And then lastly is a cheesecloth. So I ordered this on Amazon, it's about $7. I do also have one of these strainers, but it's not fine enough, so you really need something that's super fine, and so this cheesecloth is perfect. Let's get started. So first things first, we're gonna start with our cashew milk. For ingredients, all you need is cashews and water. I personally go for the unsweetened. I'm trying to cut out any unnecessary sugars, and when I'm blending it into a smoothie or I'm pouring it into my batter, I honestly don't need that extra sugar. Now, if you're someone who just likes to drink milk, maybe you want some extra flavoring, but even if I'm making like a pumpkin spice latte, I'm already adding the extra sugars at other points in my recipes. So I personally don't add any sugar into mine, but you can totally add vanilla or cinnamon or whatever you think would taste good. So the first thing I do is I take 2 cups of cashew and I put them into a bowl. Now I fill the bowl with water enough to cover all the cashews, no special amount as long as all the cashews are submerged in the water and you're good to go. Now I leave this overnight. It's just more simple for me to throw it into a bowl, go about my day, and then come back to it in the next day. But if you want it quicker, if you don't want to have to think about that, then instead put your 2 cups of cashew in the same amount of water. It doesn't matter, just make sure that water is hot. and leave it to sit for 30 minutes to an hour, and that's gonna make your cashews soften. And also make sure that when you're buying your cashews, you're not getting the salted kinds, just getting the generic plain cashews. I like to buy mine from Costco in bulk, and it saves me a lot of money because nuts can be expensive to buy, but that is the best and the cheapest way that I have found. So of course I used the last of my cashews yesterday when I put these in, but you haven't missed much. All I did was put the cashews in the water. When I first started doing this, I would just use the water, I'd pre-measure the water, and I'd pour that water that I was soaking in into the blender, and I noticed that it didn't give it as creamy and smooth of a texture. Also, as you see, I'm about to pour this out, and you'll see that there's a bit of slime that comes off of the cashews. Sounds kind of gross, but I think it's just like the coating of the nut. And so the point of doing this is to soften the nuts so that it's very easy to blend and you'll just get a smoother consistency. Okay, so let's strain these. So I'm just gonna use this little guy to strain it. You can just pour the water out. It's not that big of a deal, but I just like to get this settled water out. So I just measured out 1 cup and I left the second cup in the original bowl. Now this is because my blender is a little bit smaller and it won't fit enough water. So the ratio is gonna be 1 cup of cashews to 3 to 4 cups of water. I personally use about 3 cups. You can use up to 4. It's up to you on how thick or creamy that you want it. If you have a big blender, it doesn't matter. You can pour all of it at once. Do your 2 cups of cashews to 6 to 8 cups of water. But for me, this is just gonna fit and run a little bit smoother. So now I've used tap water. You can use filtered water. I'm probably just gonna use the water from my fridge. Now this water isn't being strained, but it's totally up to you on whatever type of water you wanna use. You can use whatever temperature you want. And then I'm gonna pour that in there. Okay, and that is literally it. You put your lid on and you blend. Now, I don't know how long you're really supposed to blend it. Some people say 5 minutes, some people say 10 minutes. I honestly just do it until it turns white and I hope for the best. Okay, so now the next step is also really easy, but this is why we have our bowls. So I just put my cheesecloth into the bowl and I hold it open, and then I take my blender and I just pour my milk into the cheesecloth. Now remember guys, this milk is fresh. It is not filled with preservatives. So don't make too much. It only lasts in the fridge for about 5 days. So be careful. The oat milk will last a little bit longer, but as you guys can see, here is what's happening. And so what I like to do is I just squeeze it and I just there's like so much more milk in there. If you don't squeeze it, I feel like you're gonna have a lot of waste. So I just try to wring it out and get as much milk out as I can. Okay, so then you're left with ground up cashews without the liquid, and I just throw this away. Now I am working on a recipe to make this into a cashew dip, like a chocolate cashew dip, like a hummus almost, but with cashews, and it's so amazing. There's one from Sprouts that I'm trying to recreate. So eventually there will be a recipe for that, but as of right now, I'm just throwing it away. I make milk too often to consume all of this, but you can also make this almost into a cashew butter just by taking this and adding olive oil and salt and whatever other flavors that you want, and you can use it as a spread, almost like a peanut butter but with cashews. Okay, so let's just repeat that one more time. So if you're not someone who likes the original and you want some flavor, as I said before, you can add a lot of different flavorings. I was just looking at a blog post, and this would be a great way to make a batch, and then in this bowl you could have some vanilla and make a vanilla cashew milk, and then add some cocoa in there and make a chocolate cashew milk. You could add maple syrup to add some sweetener, And you can even make, like, if you like coffee, you can add some cold brew to it. You can add just your regular coffee, or to make like a mocha. There's so many things you can add to it, but this is just the basis. This is cashew milk from scratch, and it's super easy. So now I like to pour it back into the smaller cup just so it's easier to pour into my big bottle. So here I have my glass. So right there we have 2 cups. 4 cups. Look at how beautiful and perfect that is. Here, this bottle holds 5 cups of the liquid, and total we made 7, which is basically the amount of water. However much water you put in is now how much milk you make. Now, this is coming from 2 cups of cashews, so you get quite a bit of milk, and I honestly think it's so worth it. It tastes really good, and especially if you add any of your extras to it, it is great. It's such a great base for so many meals. I use this for any recipe that calls for milk as a complete substitute for dairy milk, and I use it in my smoothies every morning, and it's just really amazing, and it's good for you. Okay, so moving on to oat milk. Now, oat milk is a great alternative to a lot of things. One, it's great for people who are allergic to nuts, or it's also the cheapest alternative there is, because now oat milk from the store is actually quite expensive. It's about $5, whereas almond milk is about $1 to $2. So it's substantially more expensive at the store, but to make it yourself, it is the cheapest. As you guys can see, I have a very big bag that's only about half full, and I got this from Costco. So it comes in a 2-pack. It's about $7 for 2 giant ones. I bought that about 6 months ago, and I still have this much left, and I make oat milk every week, so you get a ton for your money, whereas with the cashews, it's $15 and you have to buy it much more often. I'd say 1 carton of the cashews gets me about a month, where this is gonna last me about 6 months. Now, especially if I wasn't doing both milks, I'd say this would last you definitely several months depending on how much you drink. The other thing is that this has a slightly different taste. Now, all that's going into this is oats and water, just like with the cashew milk, but it's a little bit creamier. It's not the same texture as Oatly, which is amazing, and Oatly is creamy and delicious, but this doesn't have that extra sugar. It doesn't have whatever's in there, but it does have a really amazing taste, and I love to use this for all of my baking, or if I want something a little bit sweeter in my drinks. Matt, my boyfriend, actually prefers oat milk, and I actually think that I do too. I do think that the cashew milk is a little bit healthier for you because it's not a grain, it's a nut, but whatever your preference is, try them both out and see which one works for you. But I definitely recommend making your own milk as opposed to buying it. The other thing about making oat milk is that it's a little bit faster. You don't have to let it soak like you do with the cashews. So you can just come downstairs, make it real quick, and pour it into your breakfast. So all we're gonna do is 1 cup of oats and 3 cups of water. It's really that simple. You're just gonna put your lid on, blend it up. Now this one, I would say to blend a little bit more. All right, and now we're gonna do that same exact process that we did with the cashew milk. We're putting our bag into our bowl, we're holding it open, and we are pouring it into that bag. Now this is going to be a little bit less white in color and a little bit more of a cream. Now this one, however, you don't want to squeeze too much, like we were wringing out the cashew milk. Now some people say not to squeeze it. I just feel like there's so much waste if you don't. It's a personal preference. It may be a little bit more creamy and thick if you don't wring it out, but I don't really taste much of a difference, so. To this, again, you can add maple syrup, you can add sugar, you can add cocoa powder or vanilla, depending on what flavoring you want. Pour it in here again. Okay, and there you have it. You have your oat milk. Now, some labels on here would be really, really cute, but I personally put these in the dishwasher and I just don't want the labels to get all like gross. So I can just tell between the two because the cashew milk is substantially whiter than the oat milk, but labels would be really cute as well. Okay, so that is it. That is how you make two different types of milk. We have our cashew and we have our oat. Try these out. Let me know what you guys think, which one you think tastes better, which one you guys enjoyed more or use more often. Also, leave in the comments if you guys have any good additives, like if you know like the combination of maple syrup to cocoa to make the best hot chocolate. I use these for my pumpkin spice latte. If you guys missed that video, I'll leave it here for you guys. But we need all the recipes we can get. These milks are my favorite. I do not buy milk from the store anymore, and I haven't for months. You guys saw how fast and easy it was and how cost effective it is. If you guys like this video and you found it helpful, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up down below and hit subscribe to see more of me. And if you guys want to see the next episode of From Scratch, don't forget to turn on that bell icon to get notified every time I post. As always, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye!